One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar. Insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his step, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Whistles report he paves his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning to all you mother effing legends. Shout out to every single one of you guys. Good morning, good morning. We got our coffee this morning. Shout out to every single one of you guys in the Breakfast Club, man. You guys make this very show happen. I can't thank you guys enough. So, we've got a lot to cover today, and today's going to be one of those hard ones to listen to. I'm not even going to lie, it very much is. We're going to be going over some interesting shit. Obviously, I labeled this as the Russia-Ukraine war marks 1,000 days, and that is true. That just happened today, and the European Union had a meeting about this happening now, or if not, it might have just ended. But we've got the footage for that, so we're going to go ahead and review that with you guys on the news cycle. Of course, we've got other things to discuss as well. We have things going on with the money case within Trump with, I believe her name is Danny Storms, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the media. And so, of course, we're going to cover it. And that's what we do over here. But before we get into all of the fun media stuff, all right, like we have priorities over here, right? Make sure you guys hit that like button. It's the #1 metric of all of YouTube. And it helps out the show immensely. It's free to do so. And also, what else is free to do? Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Anyways, also, make sure you guys consider becoming a member starting at only $2.99 a month. That is U.S. currency, by the way. But that is less than a cup of coffee per month, man. And it helps out the show immensely. Also, consider following me on my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only myself, of the show, my lifestyle. And also, listen, man, Millennial Food Time. I just posted a badass steak last night that was delivered here. So, hey, man, it's awesome. It's awesome over here, man. Awesome. Also, last but not least, we have these scrolling down below. If you guys would like to help out the show, of course, everything is shouted out. Okay, anything monetary gets shouted out. So, super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, membership sign-ups, stuff like that, of course, are all going to be shouted out and read. But these are right down below if you guys would like to help out the show monetarily and not have YouTube take that brutal 30% cut. We have these scrolling down below. And of course, I will read your message out loud. Much love, honor, respect, everybody. Good to see you guys. I see we got Road Rage up in here. We got Brother Straight Jacket as well as Brother Steve. Big Joe up in here. Good to see you. We got Sister Tiffany up in here as well. I appreciate you. It's not supposed to rain until 4 your time. It was wrong. Yeah, see, Tiffany, you guys are up there in Tennessee. I started getting rained on really, really good last night. And it's been raining nonstop ever since. So it's definitely brutal. Definitely brutal. But good to see you guys, man. And yes, answered the poll that I put in the chat. I asked who is in the right. Would it be Russia or would it be Ukraine and the United States? So I definitely would love your guys' opinions on that as well, because there's this one, like I said, it's going to be a hard one to listen to. Just as anytime the European Union gets together and they, you know, they get into a parliament, you know, style type shit, and they start talking. I want to say like 95% of it's BS, you know, but hey, it's still in the news media. It's happening. I might as well show it. And hey, just is what it is, right? What up, Carney? Good to see you. Yeah, that steak was good, by the way. By one of our best steakhouses here locally. My parents went last night, and they went with my sister and her family last night, and I opted to stay back. So they brought that home for me. I was like, damn, man, this is nice. But yeah, appreciate you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this craziness, and of course, we'll discuss more and more of in the chat, you know, because that's what we do here. We have a two-way conversation. It's amazing. What up, Shadow? Good morning to you, kind sir. Hopefully, you're having a good one. But let's go ahead and dive into this and see if what Road Rage is saying right here is true. Ukraine is nothing but a huge money laundering scam. I can't really argue with that. Can't argue with that. We got Kurt up in here as well saying, morning crew, another day off, tuned in, ready to go. Hey, with that beer and a little bit of that left-handed tobacco, good on you, kind sir. I love it. Honor and respect to you as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. This is going to be some craziness for your ears this morning. Bear with me. We're doing it together. Let's do this.
And thank you so much for being here with us on Live Now.
This is Live Now from Fox, obviously. They do the best, in my opinion, okay, best breaking news stories because they really try their best not to give their opinion. They only show and cover the actual story of what's happening in person. Fuck the narrative, right?
From Fox. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here for the next several hours to bring you all of your top stories and live events from across the country and the world. Going international now, today does mark 1,000 days of war for Ukraine.
1,000.
President Zelensky just about an hour ago did address the European Union. I do want to play that out for you here.
Oh boy, we get to hear the man, the myth, the legend, Zelensky speak to the people. Here we go.
Live now from Fox.
I'll ask you to take your seats.
Good morning, Tats, over there in England. Shout out to you.
Thank you for being here.
I need to grab it real quick.
Members.
1 second. I'm going to grab it.
And dear guests, today we mark 1,000 days since Russia's unprovoked and illegal invasion of Ukraine. To begin, I would like to invite you all to watch a short video showing how this European Parliament has stood with Ukraine for 1,000 days, and we will continue to do so for as long as it takes.
From day one of Russia's full-scale invasion, the European Parliament has continued to stand with Ukraine and its people. Parliament's support to Ukraine remained unwavering to help the country recover, resist, and rebuild. As Europeans opened their hearts and homes to Ukrainians, it supported aid for those fleeing and for communities back home. Parliament has led the way on ever tougher sanctions against the aggressors and demanded justice. Russia's aggression is an attack not just on Ukraine, but on our European values of democracy, freedom, and the rule of law. Ukraine's security is Europe's security. That's why Parliament is leading the way for EU membership for a sovereign, democratic Ukraine, and stands with those who oppose autocrats around the world. Parliament will support Ukraine's fight for freedom for as long as it takes.
Long live freedom, long live
No
Europe.
kidding, Anson.
Slava Ukraine.
Good morning to you, kind sir. Yeah, this is going to be bad. For as long as it takes, it said. Now, what you guys hear right there, that sound, it sounds like though rain on top of your fucking house. No, this is actually the sound of them clapping unanimously in there, all at the exact same time and shit, and no good microphones to pick it up. So you're going to hear that, especially when Zelensky decides to come out.
Now it is an honor to welcome the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, joining us live.
There we go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's going to be hard. Definitely going to be rough to listen to. They're still clapping. Who's coming up to speak? Is this Hillary Clinton like coming up to the stage or something? What is going on? Look how unenthused. You see that guy? Holy shit. Did you see that guy? Watch. This guy right here in the blue suit right here. Watch how much he does not give a fuck, but yet they all have to do it. Oh my God, that is so sad.
Today we mark 1,000 days since Russia unleashed its brutal invasion of Ukraine. 1,000 days of terror, suffering, and unimaginable loss. 1,000 days of courage.
What's up, Joker?
Resilience,
good morning to you as well,
unbreakable spirit. For 1,000 days, the people of Ukraine and you, President Zelensky, have shown the world what true bravery looks like. You have stood up.
If you don't mind me asking, Kurt, what country are you from? If you don't mind me asking.
Refusing to break.
Good to see you, Wolfine, by the way. Good morning to you, Kurt.
Inspiration to all who value freedom around the world. And for 1,000 days, this European Parliament has stood shoulder to shoulder with the people of Ukraine and
good morning to you, Pumper, over there, kind sir. Appreciate you for being here.
Representatives in the Verkhovna Rada, united and unwavering. And we will continue to stand with Ukraine today, tomorrow, and every day for as long as it takes.
No kidding, straight.
This is an assault not only on Ukraine, but on the rules-based order, an assault on our values and on our way of life. Peace, democracy, and freedom, this is what is at stake here. And we know the sacrifice the Ukrainian people are enduring, not just for themselves, but for all of us. I will forever be proud that this parliament has led the charge in supporting Ukraine.
Right on, right on. All right. I love that. We got a lot of people that actually watch from Canada. You Canadians somehow find us down here. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Shout out to Canada.
With political, financial, humanitarian and military assistance, and we will always stand for peace, a real peace based on justice, dignity, and the principle of nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. This is why we have imposed tough sanctions on Russia, and we call to go even further to hit Russia.
That would be you know what? I should have added that. You know what? Let me go ahead and revise the poll. You know what? Just for you, Huggy, I'm going to revise the poll right now. So let me go ahead and play this and I'll revise it. Yeah. Let me do that. Watch the answers be completely different from what it is right now. Watch.
Russia's war machine. This is why we were the first to call for Ukraine's rightful place inside our European Union. And this is why we were there on the ground in Kiev just a couple of weeks after the invasion began. Today, we send a clear, simple message. We stand with Ukraine until freedom, until real peace. For as long as it takes, Slava Ukraini. Now I give to you, dear President, dear Volodymyr, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dear Roberta, Madam President, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, our friends of Ukraine. I thank you for supporting Ukraine. Thank you, Roberta, for calling this extraordinary session of the European Parliament to mark 1,000 days of full-scale war. Thank you for ensuring that not a single one of the 1,000 days of this terrible war became a day of betrayal of our shared European values. We've proven that these values are not just words, not
All right, the poll is
something
up.
abstract.
It's live.
European
Go ahead and vote. I need your guys' vote. I need to understand where we stand right here.
values and the European way of life, when transformed into action, protect the lives of real people. Thank you so much. Together, Ukraine, all of Europe, and our partners in America and around the world, we have succeeded not only in preventing Putin from taking Ukraine, but also in defending the freedom of all European nations. Even with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, but by his side, Putin remains smaller than the United States of Europe. I urge you not to forget this, and do not forget how much Europe is capable of achieving.
What's up, Danny? Good to see you, man.
If we could stop Europe's way of life from falling down, we can surely push Russia towards a just peace.
That's exactly. You guys are making me proud in the chat right now. You guys are making me proud. Seeing what the numbers are on the poll now. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to see.
Peace is what we desire most. 2 years ago, we proposed the peace formula, and I'm grateful to all of Europe and every partner who has supported it. And you in the European Parliament were among the first to support the peace formula, and the only one who
What's up, Blair? Good morning.
It's the one who started this war. It's Russia, and we must push Russia toward just peace. Every blow and every threat from Russia must be met with a firm sanctions. For 1,000 days, it has been crucial to radically reduce Russia's ability to fund its war through oil sales. Oil is the lifeblood of Putin's regime, and the shadow fleet of tankers is what keeps it alive. As long as these tankers operate, Putin continues to kill. Strong sanctions are essential. I thank each of you, thank you, Roberta, again, and thank each of you who supports our people, our resilience, our ability to restore safety even after the most devastating mass attacks.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck the Zelensky prattle for a minute. You know, Zelensky prattle needs to be on pause. Listen, Brother Steve, he says it best. Hit that like button, y'all. Hey, appreciate it. Don't be like his dumbass and forgets every day. No, he doesn't forget. There's no way when I tell it like 7 times during a live stream, there's no way you can forget. So stop the cap, but I appreciate you for stopping the show for that. Appreciate that.
Together we have accomplished much, but we must not fear doing even more. Now, Putin has brought 11,000 North Korean troops to Ukraine's borders. This contingent may grow to 100,000.
You know, it's funny. I don't think Putin wants to dominate the world either. You know what I do know? He is a complete nationalist. He thinks it's Russia. Same ideology that I pretty much have about the United States. I can't feel bad about that. It's like, hey, it's us. Fuck everyone else on the outside, right? Like that's essentially his ideology. I have very much the same ideology of not having to dominate the world. Actually, it just has to do with us being sovereign, us being, us being together. And obviously, we don't want to involve ourselves in any wars and see people die over fucked up causes, which we've seen in recent history. I'll just leave it at that for YouTube.
While some European leaders
and by the way, that does remind me, bro. I fucked up already. This morning, right before the show even started, like 20 minutes before the show started. Pitbull sent over a super chat, sent over £2 super chat. Hey, remember? He's over there in England. This is for all the insane family sending hugs. Hey, man, I appreciate you, kind sir, as well. As remember to rev the like button and drop the clutch on the share. I like that, my man. Appreciate you, kind sir. I very much appreciate your patronage. Thank you.
Something like this,
Thank you very
as
much.
Ukraine expands,
Thank you very much.
Putin is focused on winning this war. He will not stop on his own. The more time he has, the
What's up,
worse
Steve?
the conditions become. Every today is the best moment to push Russia harder, and it's clear without certain key factors, Russia will lack real motivation to engage in meaningful negotiations. Without fires in
Facts,
its
Papa.
ammunition depots on Russian territory, without disrupted military logistics, without destroyed Russian air bases, without its lost capabilities to produce missiles and drones.
What's up, Brian?
and
Good to
without
see
its
you over here, kind sir. Is that, man, you look very familiar, my man. Appreciate you for coming by and
assets
hanging out with us this
being
morning.
confiscated. You know very well
What's up,
that
Digga?
Putin does not value people or rules. He values only money and power. These are the things we must take
Yeah,
away
see,
from
good.
him
I appreciate
to
you.
restore peace.
Allegedly. No, don't worry. Don't worry. We had a little bit of Zelensky prattle going on so far. But the truth is we just started on the news cycles about this. And we're going to be, I mean, this is basically the European Union is getting together. And that's where Zelensky's talking to right now is the EU parliament. And so right now there's a humongous crowd over there that is, watching right this second what Zelensky's saying, because he's, obviously tuning in from, his office or whatever. But anyways, we're going to be discussing about the 1,000 days. We're basically going to hear a lot of the Ukrainian side. We're going to hear the EU side of things. So it's going to be a hard one to listen to. That's what I'm getting at.
Anyone in Europe thinks they can sell Moscow, Ukraine, or any other country like the Baltic states or the Balkans, Georgia, Moldova, and gain something in return. Let them remember this simple truth.
What's up, Jay? Good morning.
No one can enjoy calm waters amid a storm. And we must do everything to end this war fairly and justly, as you said, Roberta. And of course, together.
Sounds good, Tiffany.
1,000 days of war is a tremendous challenge. Ukraine deserves to make the next year the year of peace. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, see, we got Pitbull living the true brotherhood life. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. I love seeing that shit. You can tell a club guy, right away, right?
Thank you for your resolutions, your decisions, your principles.
I am a full-time YouTuber, kind sir. This is what I do for a living, believe it or not.
To Ukraine during the war, during first year of the war, especially first year when it was so difficult. And thanks and your faith in Ukraine. Thank you very much. Slava Ukraine.
Listen to them clapping. It sounds like rain on top of your house. It's so weird how that second microphone picks it up like that. They're just gonna clap forever. Yeah. I do only legs. That's right. I forgot about that.
Oh shit!
I'm an entrepreneur then, right? Quote unquote. Yep, another proxy war. 100 motherfucking percent, Mindy. 100%. Unfortunate.
Thank you very much, President Zelensky. Now I give the floor to Manfred Weber from the EPP Group.
Madam President, dear commissioners.
I say we stop giving our money to everybody else but Americans. Give it to fucking Americans, dude. Like, what are we doing? We're going through like bankruptcies. We're going through a depression. What are you talking about? Like, why are we sending like billions of dollars overseas? Meanwhile, people are getting denied $750 FEMA fucking cases, which is insane. So absurd. I can't even believe
Zelensky, Ukrainian people. First of all, I want to thank our president, because Roberta Metsola was the first European leader representing one of the European institutions to travel to Ukraine, to Kiev, after the war started. And Roberta, thank you so much for this kind of leadership. You made us as an institution proud of doing so.
Sounds good, Bob. Sounds good.
And also today's discussion, today's debate with President Zelensky's presence 1,000 days after Putin's war. Yes, we mourn the thousands of soldiers and civilians, including 600 children. Our first thoughts today go to all those who lost family members and friends and neighbors. The loss of any life is a tragedy. Putin's war is brutal terror. That's the first what we have to recognize. But there is a second reality behind the 1,000 days. Let's be honest, not so many observers thought that Ukraine would have resisted. Not so many experts thought that the Ukrainian forces would be able to regain occupied territory. Not so many observers thought that Ukraine would show a true European face. And yet, yes, you did it. Today, the Ukrainian people have all the right to say, we are Europeans, or Mr. President, as you said several times, the Ukrainians live, believe in, and defend the...
Yeah, so it's not that they haven't ever been able to pass an audit. They just haven't been able to pass an audit for the last 7 years. There's $368 billion, with a B, $368 billion missing, unaccounted for.
Sense of what makes us Europeans, and that's the European way of life.
7 years in a row.
And thank you so much. What do we have to do now? First, we have to talk with our American friends.
USNS,
the war in Ukraine is not a simple regional dispute. The war in Ukraine is a battle line between the free world and brutal dictatorship. Drones produced in Iran, North Korean soldiers fighting against Europeans on European soil. What else do you need as a proof for this geopolitical reality? Second, Europe must prepare to take on more responsibility. We will do what is necessary to give you, Ukrainians, the financial stability you need, whatever it takes, as Roberta said it. Every euro invested in Ukraine is cheaper than, for example, funding more refugees coming to Europe. Thirdly, Ukraine...
Damn, that's fucking crazy right there, Blair. Not gonna lie.
Must win on the battleground. Joe Biden shows leadership, allowing Ukrainian forces to use all the weapons they have, also on the Russian territory. With this kind of leadership,
yes, I have a Discord. If you guys are interested in Discord or have Discord, know what it is. It's in the description below, the invite link to my server. So go in and check it out. And we do hang out in there actually quite a bit. I try to tune in once every single day at bare minimum. You know, I try to hang out with you guys a little bit.
To the Europeans to do now the same. Chancellor Scholz said that he would take all the steps necessary together with our American friends.
Tobacco.
That's why please give now Ukraine the necessary Taurus missiles they need. Fourthly,
I need it. Watching this.
Fourthly, Ukraine will be a member of the European Union soon. I want to thank the European government and the Parliament for all the reforms they have already implemented. You want to become a modern, a free and a democratic country. There is still a lot to do, but the efforts are clear. And we, as European People's Party, support you on this. And the fifth point, dear colleagues, what we have to do?
Well, at least the smart people at the end get the money, right? So at least at the end of the day, it's still going to Americans, right, Steve? Checkmate on that. Checkmate.
Russia will not change. Russia will continue to be an imperialistic power, a security threat to all Europeans. That's why we need a long-lasting security architecture. And for us as EPP, it's clear Ukraine must become member of the NATO. All other security guarantees haven't brought peace. And together with today's strongest
Appreciate
army in
you guys
Europe,
over there,
that are the
Redneck.
Ukrainian forces, we can build up a European pillar of defense to protect the European eastern border on the long term. The only way, dear friends.
Oh no! I'm on my third round already. Third round already. No, yeah. No, that's not the first.
The way is
Stop the cat.
peace through strength, not
You know who
concessions.
you're speaking to, right?
We will not allow Putin to steal Ukraine's European future. We stand with Ukraine, and yes, we will win.
Thank you. Mr. Weber. And now I give this floor to the chair of the S&D Group, Irache Garcia Perez.
Oh boy.
Gracias, Presidenta.
Thank you, Madam President.
Presidente Zelensky, bienvenido
President
al
Zelensky,
Parlamento.
welcome to the European Parliament.
Oh man, now we've got to hear some AI fucking voiceover.
Thank you for being with us today at this time which is so difficult for Ukraine. Despite the distance, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us in this shared house, the House of European Democracy. Today marks 1,000 days since the large-scale invasion of Russia against Ukraine, but there is also 4,000 days since the aggression began in 2014. Mr. Zelensky, this year we commemorate the 10th anniversary of the Hidnist, or Dignity Revolution. We're aware of the terrible price that you're still paying to defend this revolution. Mr. Zelensky, President Zelensky, Zelensky and the Ukrainian people don't need applause, nor do they need kind words about their courage and resistance. We're well aware of that. Ukraine needs arms because wars are not won by the power of the word. Wars are won with munitions.
What's up,
with
Charles?
tanks, with
For you, it is also morning, just earlier. You're like 17 hours ahead of me.
fighter jets.
Shout out to you, man.
Air defense. We need to be honest. If tomorrow the European Union was attacked by Putin, would we ask ourselves whether it's legitimate to attack back in the same way that they're attacking us? Would we ask ourselves if it's legal to use frozen assets of the aggressor to arm ourselves and to rebuild? With every red line that we've set in front of ourselves, the Ukrainian people pays for it in human lives and destruction. President Zelensky, you have been able to wake up the European memory.
All right, you were listening right there.
Nah, man, I do like Lucille Ball. I like that she's Lucy. I like that. I like Lucy. I'm convicted on that. You know, I'm 5 toes down on that and a blade. You dig? Yeah, but that is pretty cool. Yeah. Mike's Kitty for President 2028. That's so funny, dude. That is so fucking good. Appreciate you, Carney. Yes, sir. All right, let me go ahead and right now I know they're about to do a little commercial break, so let's go ahead and go through. And I believe they're going to be done about speaking about this for a minute. I think we're going to break off into New York.
4 on the East Coast and 3:44 on the West Coast.
This morning.
You are taking a live look over New York City. That is our camera.
New York
right outside
City.
of our Fox studios. And our next story does take us to that area. A New York judge expected to rule today on whether to grant President-elect Trump's request to set aside the guilty verdict in
Appreciate
his
you,
criminal
Ryan.
hush money case. Do want to bring in Robert Moses with our Fox 5 New York
Tonight,
station, joining us live.
Tonight is the next roundtable. I'm okay. So let me just explain something real quick. I'll be on tonight on Biker News Canada's show tonight, and it's really going to be about Canadian politics. So the truth is I'm not going to have too much of an opinion on this. I'm just going to go ahead and ask some questions regarding, well, this is how we run our stuff here, essentially, and provide a different alternative to what they're doing currently. And if I believe it's something that would be better for their system or something that would be worse. Hence why I'm not going to, of course, I'm not going to I'm not going to talk about anything that is going to do anything worse for them in my worldview, you know? So anyways, it'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
To break down the latest here. Good morning, Robert. Thanks for being here with us.
No,
Josh, good morning.
She's named not Lucy from Trailer Park Boys. No way did you think that. No way. Stop the cap, yo.
Stop the cap.
No, Lucille Ball. She was a redhead too, you know? And listen, the cat is a redhead too. It worked out perfect.
Morning to you. Judge Juan Merchan had said he would rule last week, but at the request of both the prosecution and defense, he postponed his decision until today. Merchan set sentencing for 1 week from today, but depending on how Merchan rules today, the former and future president may face no punishment at all.
I appreciate
Judge Juan
that, Bob.
Merchan is expected to rule today on whether to undo President-elect Donald Trump's hush money conviction. A jury convicted him in May of falsifying business records connected to a payment to porn star Stormy Daniels to keep her quiet before the 2016 election about a tryst that she says happened and that he denies. A little more than a month after his...
Now, obviously, I'm not going to dive deep onto the back story of the whole ordeal with this. I've reported on this and given my opinion on this about 5 different times since the start of this
conviction. The Supreme Court ruled that former presidents enjoy broad immunity. The High Court said ex-presidents cannot be prosecuted for actions they took while carrying out their official duties, and that those actions can't be used to strengthen a case that revolves around personal matters. President-elect Trump's lawyers argued the ruling should nullify his conviction since the jury heard and saw evidence like testimony from White House aides and his financial disclosure form. Prosecutors disagreed and said the disputed evidence constituted just a sliver.
What? Why was Lucy capping?
Stop the cap.
Why was Lucy capping like that?
Of their case. After he won the election, a lawyer for the president-elect argued to the court in an email that the case must be thrown out to avoid unconstitutional impediments to President Trump's ability to govern. The president-elect has moved quickly to staff his administration. Tomorrow, the House Ethics Committee meets and may vote on whether to release its report about former Congressman Matt Gaetz, the nominee to be the next Attorney General. An attorney for 2 women said they told the committee that Gaetz paid them for sex, and the attorney says one witnessed Gaetz having sex with a minor.
She testified in July of 2000.
Listen, if that's true, open the investigation up and run it. You know, that's, I say, listen, especially you know, if you get yourself into politics, you know, your whole life is going to open up. I'm not opposed to having anybody investigated, by the way. You know, like if you're out there, you should be investigated. You should be held liable. I mean, you're representing the people, man. I definitely don't think that we should be allowing such bullshit and corruption in our government. And I stand 10 toes down. How about that? With that conviction of understanding that, listen, man, no one should be allowed to do some bullshit, whether you have money but that's the sad reality. And it's something that I really hate. You know, I'm doing an idealisticology, but not being realistic and our current landscape, right? But it is, the truth is I think anybody should be thrown into an investigation. If you believe this happened, man, fucking let's do the investigation then. But don't keep rerunning the fucking bullshit and keep like using it against somebody. Let's say if they're found not guilty and they continue on their career, you can't continue to play off of that and fuck around with that. You can't. But that's what politics is so fucking dirty, dude.
17
It just is.
At this house party, she was walking out to the pool area and she looked to her right and she saw Representative Gaetz having sex with her friend who was 17.
Gaetz has denied any wrongdoing, and a transition spokesperson said Matt Gaetz will be the next Attorney General. He's the right man for the job and will end the weaponization of our justice system. The president-elect yesterday confirmed that he plans to declare a national emergency and use military assets to carry out mass deportations. The incoming border czar, Tom Homan, will oversee them.
Already working on the plan. I'll be going down to Mar-a-Lago this week to put the final touches on the plan. But yeah, we're going to take the handcuffs off.
Congressional Democrats promise to resist.
We will be playing a lot of defense. I know over the next couple of years, protecting our communities, particularly our immigrant communities.
And President-elect Trump continues to staff his new administration. Yesterday, he nominated former Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy to be his transportation secretary. Duffy had been a Fox News contributor. Also, he appeared on The Real World Boston on MTV back in the 90s. Josh, back to you.
All right, Robert Moses there with our Fox 5 New York
Hit that
station.
like
Thank
button,
you so
everybody. I appreciate that call out, by the way, Charles. Yes, sir. Hey, listen, man. If you guys are just tuning in, hit that like button, man. It very much helps the show out, as it is the #1 metric of all of YouTube. I very much appreciate you guys, and it's free to do so. If you guys haven't hit that subscribe button yet, do it, man. Appreciate you guys. Hell yeah. Let's go.
much as always for being here with us. And I do want to talk a little bit more about President-elect Trump.
Mister, good to see you, kind sir.
Cabinet announcements. We're learning more about his strategy for mass deportations. Doug Luzader has more from Washington on his approach to illegal immigration and how opponents are preparing to fight back.
The president-elect made illegal immigration a big part of his campaign, and he is prepared to use the military to fulfill his promise. With wave upon
What
wave
up, are we
of
not
migrants
men?
illegally
Shout
crossing
out
the
to you,
southern
man.
border in recent years,
Good morning.
we don't even know how many are in the country right now, and President-elect Trump's new border czar does not plan to waste time.
Already working on the plan. I'll be going down to Mar-a-Lago this week to put the final touches on the plan. But yeah, we're going to take the handcuffs off ICE.
They take the handcuffs off to begin mass deportations. It's something Trump referenced again and again on the campaign trail.
And on day one, I will launch the largest deportation program of criminals.
And now Trump has confirmed on social media that he plans to declare a national emergency and deploy military assets to address the crisis. He appears to envision a large support role for the Department of Defense.
We're hoping DOD will help us with air flights because there's a limited number of planes ICE has contracts with. So DOD can certainly help with air flights all across the globe.
We're not going to get the hell out of the way.
But many sanctuary state and local leaders
Have a good one,
plan to
Kurt.
oppose
Appreciate you for stopping by and hanging out with us this morning.
those efforts and are unlikely to cooperate with federal officials.
I'm going to do everything that I can to protect our undocumented immigrants. They're residents of our state.
And that will complicate.
No,
Trump's
the
efforts.
claim has been 17 years old, Bob, but I'm sure the left probably skewed that to make it seem extremely dramatic. But even then, I think that whatever the case is, it should be investigated and the truth shall prevail. That's the way I look at it. We got allegedly coming in super motherfucking hot with the gold. Actually, theoretically, it's the $20 one. So it's actually the orange. So I very much appreciate the orange super sticker, man. Thank you, allegedly. That's a big ordeal, man, right there. Thank you very much for that, sincerely.
Many of these Democratic strongholds have relatively high concentrations of illegal
Hit the like
immigrants.
button on. Oh, no, you can't
In
hit the
Washington,
like button on that
Doug
one.
Luzader, Fox
Damn.
News.
It has to be a super
Doug,
chat.
thank you so much for that report. Time now 6:50 on the East Coast and 3:50 on the West Coast. Do want to pop up this live image there of the Capitol building in D.C. As we do have a reminder, today does mark 2 months until the inauguration of President-elect Trump, both the former and future commander-in-chief. We're going to have all kinds of coverage leading up to that day, and you can watch it all unfold on January 20th right here on Live Now from Fox. Do want to head to our final 2-minute commercial
Nope,
break of the
for
hour,
you,
but so
but
much
not
more
for
coverage
me.
to get to in just
All right.
discussing.
So this is going to be brutal, everyone. Now, the chick that's about to speak right now, I'm going to be very honest. I cannot stand the voiceover for the chick. I don't know if it's some AI thing. I have no idea what it is. But the truth is, it is way mad annoying. Like it's gag me with a spoon type bullshit, you know? Yeah. Anyways, it's going to be terrible. I can't stand hearing it, but it's going to be something that I did this morning and I'm going to do it again. Here we go. We're going back to the
Here
Parliament.
on Live Now from Fox. It is Tuesday, November 19th. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here to bring you all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news. We're going to talk about some developments internationally right now. Coming up in about 10 minutes.
This is why I love them over here. All they do over here is exactly this: break news, non-motherfucking stop. It's just perfect. I mean, this is today. This is only a few hours ago.
We'll have an expert join us to talk about the latest out of Israel. But for now, I do want to head back over to the European
So we're going to get some Israeli news going on a little bit later in the news cycle.
Union as they are discussing 1,000 days of war for Ukraine. Let's pop up the audio here and listen in.
Churchill wisely said,
and
accepting peace on hard terms is like feeding a crocodile, hoping it will hit us last.
His microphone was way
Let us
loud.
do what is right for as long as it takes. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I give the floor to the chair of the Renew Europe Group, Valérie Ayé.
Madame la Présidente, merci. Monsieur le Président
Madame
Zelensky,
President,
c'est un immense
President
honneur
Here we
de vous
go.
présenter parmi
It's an
nous
enormous
aujourd'hui.
honor to have you
Cela fait
here.
This is the AI, or whether it's an AI or a real person, I can't stand the voice of the voiceover.
Among us, it's been 1,000 days, 1,000 days of war, 1,000 days that your people have been resisting and fighting for freedom. There is an aggressor and a victim in this war. There's a leader that for 10 years has been attacking
What's up,
your
Jane?
territory. And Ukrainians are brave. And because of this, he has had to resort to others for his murderous campaign. North
100 motherfucking percent, Mister. This whole thing, what she's about to spew right now, is pure. We need to give them weapons and ammunition. We need to supply them with resources. We need to do this. We need to stand back. Of course. This is exactly 1,000% begging for money from America, essentially.
Korea and others, there is one sole aggressor.
Because we fund everything. We fund literally fucking everything.
Who has brought war to European soil. Every day, the troops are attacked, and so are your people. But your people are standing strong, and they are extremely courageous with Europe by your side. Some in the European Parliament say they're pacifists, but let us call a spade a spade. They are the allies of Vladimir Putin. And when they talk about peace, it is basically about the
What's
law
up,
of
Joseph?
the mightiest. So who
Good morning,
started
kind
this
sir.
war?
Stop the
Who
cap.
is conducting an expansionist policy?
Unapologetic.
Who has
Good to
the
see you.
international court on its pursuing it? Standing by Ukraine is also about protecting the security of Europe, but it's also about defending ourselves. We have to consolidate the European defense market, joint procurement for defense, so that we can keep a threat at bay. This is a crossroads. President Zelensky, you have been defending yourselves for 1,000 days, and we stand by your side. We have supported Ukraine in a humanitarian way, economically, sanctions in an unprecedented way. We have stood united for 1,000 days, despite the fact that the Kremlin
What up, Panelverse? Good to see you over there. Good morning.
We don't know what will happen in the US. There's a lot of uncertainty, but Europe cannot get used to this war at our doorstep. 1,000 days, and we will continue because there's a majority in this European Parliament that's been elected to stand by your side for as long as it takes, because EU unity.
Absolutely, Brother Bob. You be good out there and be safe. I'll see you tonight. It'll be a good ass discussion. Absolutely.
Is more efficient than piecemeal attempts. 1,000 days have showed us that the Russian regime was capable of the worst, and that we can only move forward if we fight against autocrats. We need military support, colleagues, with air defense systems, missiles, drones, vehicles, and we also need financial support with the EU loans and the G7, and it is the frozen assets,
you're
the
Jack?
Russian frozen assets that will pay for
No
this.
way. You're Jack over there? No way. Is that actually you? That's hilarious. Good to see you.
We have to, it is legitimate to strike areas in Russia. We have to urgently deal with the breaches that exist in third countries and the shadow fleet. Yes, Vladimir Putin and his henchmen have to be punished for their crimes and taken before international justice. Your victory plan, President Zelensky, is a sound one. It is the right one because we want.
She just said, President Zelensky, your resolution to this war is a sound one. It is the correct one. And we need you, Americans, to fund us. We need you, your American dollars. Yes, that is exactly what is happening in front of us right now.
A just and lasting peace. But nothing can happen without you. Everything has to happen with you because it is the fate of your people that is at stake, and it is linked to ours.
1000%.
Through the EU and NATO, Ukraine will be European. With our shared family, Renew Europe, President Zelensky, and with most colleagues here and the peoples of Europe, I'm saying
I don't actually know what it really looks like right now. I mean, aside from when I reported on it about Ryan Routh, that was the last time that we actually saw some Ukrainian coverage over there. But yeah.
to you, we will stand by your side for as long as it takes. Slava Ukraini.
Well, this is the channel for you, kind sir. It's a channel for you. That's what's about. What I do is something is kind of different from like other YouTubers. My morning show, everything that I do Monday through Friday, I actually stream Monday through Saturday, but Monday through Friday, it really is about world news, geopolitics, what's going on politically. Like, that's what I do. And I love reporting on it. It's just something I really have a passion for.
And now I give the floor.
It does sound like AI. Thank God she's over.
Green Group
It needed to be done because I couldn't stand that AI anymore. I couldn't stand it. Thank God she was over. She's
Dear
done now.
President of Ukraine, Zelensky, dear colleagues, and most of all, dear friends
Was
in
it actually
Ukraine.
a person?
It has been 1,000 days since Putin's illegal and unprovoked full-scale invasion of Ukraine, which brought utter destruction and unbearable
Hit that
suffering
like button,
to
y'all.
the people
Appreciate
of
you guys.
Ukraine. 1,000 days, a sad milestone, and at the same moment, a reminder of our promise. We stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes.
Dragon
As
Class,
long
good to
as it
see you.
takes until peace finally becomes reality for Ukraine again. And trust me, it's us who are longing for peace, but the people who are longing for peace the most are the people in Ukraine. A peace on Ukraine's terms, which
No way,
allows the
Orzi.
Ukrainian people to live
Good
in
morning, Mo.
freedom and safety and not under the oppression of Russia's brutal colonial shackles. Warmonger
Shackles.
Putin will not stop this terror. He will send more soldiers to their death. He will use more weapons to bomb infrastructure, hospitals, and schools. He will use the cold winter to try to freeze the Ukrainians into submission. Putin does not obey international law. He's actually trying to move back to a time
Ryan thought it was hot. That's so funny.
where Europe was ruled by empires, starting by
Welcome back.
building a Russian empire, threatening all those who want to live in peace and freedom in Europe. It's a weak man's big phantom pain of Russian Tsars and Soviet rulers.
And if you guys ever notice, when there's disagreements in the chat, I don't butt in with your guys' debates. I don't sit there and start correcting unless somebody throws like a extreme, like even then, absurd claims. I will only if they're talking to me. But if they're talking to you guys, I allow the conversation. I allow that to go down.
Putin only recognizes the right
Thank you
of
for
the
that, Steve.
strongest. So we have to show him Europe's united strength. The re-election of President Trump into the White House is another wake-up call for the European Union in this regard.
Just trying to get some money.
We must move forward with renewed vigor. We have to step up our military support for Ukraine. Ukraine urgently needs credible security guarantees.
What's up, Emerald?
And
Good to
also,
see you.
The EU has to be able to defend itself and must become independent.
Yeah, not only that, but Zelensky's got a house here in the United States that he resides in. How can you be a citizen of another country, but yet be the president of your country? What? Right, exactly. It's insane. It's insane the games that is played.
Dependent from
Right now, they're
dictator-
just essentially asking for more money before Trump gets in, and then everything gets shut down. They're trying to get some money right now. That's what we're watching.
in terms of energy supply. We have paid a very high price on this continent because of our own
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
short-sightedness in this regard. This is not just in our interest, but also in that of Ukraine.
That's
I'm
it.
speaking to our Ukrainian sisters and brothers
What's up, Martin?
who are still
Good
suffering
morning.
and who are not only defending their own freedom, but also our freedom here in Europe. It might have been 1,000 days, but be reassured, Europe will not let you down. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Reintke, and now I give the floor to the co-chair of the Left Group, Martin Schülemann.
Thank you very much, Madam.
Another voiceover. Hopefully this AI or real person, whoever does the voiceover, dude, hopefully there's not this. Oh my God, I can't stand that fucking voice. I just couldn't stand it. Rob thought it was hot. I don't know how he thought that was hot.
President Zelensky, for 1,000 days now, we've heard these noises of war, and more than 10,000 civilians have been killed by the
That's
Russian
a
killing
real
machine.
person, and I can hear the audio. That's what it is. The guy's listening to the audio in real time with his headphones, and he's speaking out loud into a microphone. You can actually hear the translation like speakers.
And my empathy and sympathy goes out to all of those who are suffering. The old people, children, they're all suffering. And there are some who've come to Europe and have enjoyed humanitarian support, and those who are now questioning
We do need to get out of
providing refuge
NATO.
for these people in this house should be ashamed of yourself.
NATO, absolutely, we need to get out. Garbage organization
There
right
are
there.
thousands of people who've been killed. Ukrainians who are rightly defending their own country, Russians, and this is part of the truth, who didn't want this war, are under an imperial leader and who've been dragged
Much
into
love and
this
honor and
terrible
respect, kind
death.
sir. Have a good morning.
This
Danny.
is a war that has to be brought to a close as soon as possible. President Zelensky, our objective is to have a justice and lasting peace, a peace based on international law, which respects the sovereignty of Ukraine. Russian soldiers have no role in Ukraine. Obviously, Ukraine must sit around that table when that peace is negotiated. All stakeholders need to be involved, and that needs to be respected by the newly elected president of the US and Mr. Putin as well. The international order cannot be called into question because international law knows no double standards.
Damn.
It is not the law of
You know, I'm not really sure. Can someone help Glare in the chat? Like, because I don't actually know the answer to that either. Like, I think he got gifted one and he's trying to. Now, are you on iPhone? You know, you're on Android. You're on Android. So you should have a $ where the donation is. When you hit that, there should be a like membership thing right there. And I think when you buy it, it renews it. And now you're on your own cycle. You know what I mean?
might is right. That must not prevail. Autocrats and imperial states cannot be allowed to question the integral territory of other countries and bring disaster upon these other
That's
countries.
true, Jay.
So we need to move around military terminology, move to diplomatic terminology. We need to strengthen the political pressure brought to bear of the international community on Russia.
No,
And
they are not a
the
part
Commission-
of. Correct. They're a part of the EU. Absolutely, which we still absolutely fund.
European Commission and the European governments need to do more. The US and China need to do more. We need to bring about an increase in pressure as well by having more efficient sanctions against Putin.
Yeah, for anything like that I do, like memberships and all that, I've always done that on the computer because you can't do it on iPhone unless they're major oh yeah, that's right. They're not a part of the EU. What okay, so I have a couple of questions. Who are they? The only ally they have essentially is us. In this case, how does that work with them? Because I want to know what they're actually tied to aside from us. What is it? What are they considered? And right now, this is the EU Parliament. So they're asking money from the EU, which is essentially funded by us, right? That's what I meant to say. If I jumbled up my words a little bit, then I didn't. I don't know what they're actually a part of. I always thought they actually were a part of the EU.
Putin's war apparatus against the military complex, against the shadow fleet, with the help of which.
So that's why they had that independence like that. So they just were able to make individual connections, not tied to an organization. Is that what it was?
He's circumventing the sanctions. The reconstruction of critical and civilian infrastructure for people in Ukraine has to begin now. And an international step in the right direction would be constituted by support from the president.
I agree. All those organizations, they're all garbage. NATO, UN, EU, which we fund, all of it. All that shit is like 50 years, like way in the past. We need, if anything, we need to come up with something new. Fuck the shit that we've got now.
Of course, we don't want big
garbage organizations,
multinational companies to be earning money hand over fist by way of these reconstruction contracts. It is up to the Ukrainians themselves.
No, check Hawaii. Check Hawaii, Biker News Canada. Check Hawaii.
To rebuild their country. Thank you.
Mr. Shudawan, so I thank you all, dear members, in the darkest.
All right, and that was the European Union just about an hour and a half ago as they did discuss everything Ukraine, marking 1,000 days.
And I'm sure that was organized in whenever the deal was made, when Ukraine became Ukraine. I'm sure that deal was made. It makes sense.
Of war for Ukraine. Do want to stay international right now as a top Lebanese official says that Lebanon and the Hezbollah terror group have agreed to a U.S. proposal for a ceasefire with Israel, but it comes with, quote, some comments on the content. Ali Hassan Khalil, an aide to the parliament speaker, told Reuters that Lebanon delivered its written response to the U.S. ambassador yesterday and that White House envoy Amos Hochstein would travel to Beirut. Details of that proposed ceasefire and the, quote, comments on the content do remain unclear at this point. Khalil also saying that Israel is trying to negotiate, quote, under fire, referring to strikes in the Hezbollah-controlled southern suburbs of Beirut. A lot to discuss, so let's
this is a big deal right here. Lebanon and Hezbollah agree to cease fire. Well, their plan anyways. So I guess a deal is about to be or has been made. We'll find out.
And a good friend of the show here, we do have Professor John Strawson, an emeritus professor.
Exactly, Mr. All of a sudden, lobbing 180, 190, missiles over at Israel and all this bullshit. And yeah. Now all of a sudden, shit. You know what I mean? Shit. Got him.
Law, justice, and policing at the University of East London. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and help break it all down.
Yo, my man. Brother Carney's right, coming in hot with their gifted membership out to you guys. Come on, YouTube, disperse that bitch. I don't know why it's not like going to somebody, right? It should be going to somebody right fucking now. And yet there's plenty of people in the chat right now that are not members. See, this is YouTube fucking around with me, dude. I hate that shit. I don't understand it. I don't understand why that happens.
Josh.
All right, so first off, what does all of this mean to you? What does it mean overall when they say that Lebanon and Hezbollah have agreed to this quote unquote ceasefire proposal with quote unquote some comments?
Well, there is precisely the problem. All these questions of ceasefires are
Absolutely,
really
Digga. We'll see you on
down
the
to
flip side, my
question of
man.
the detail, and we don't
actually,
know what these
you
details.
looks like you're a woman. I'm sorry, didn't mean to say, my man. Appreciate you. Hopefully, you have a wonderful day. My bad. Nice name, by the way. I'm a member on one account. Well, that's good. Boom. You know, hey, listen, you still representing.
Are at the present time. What we do know is there's a good mood coming from the Lebanese sources, from Nabi Berri, the Speaker of the Parliament, the Lebanese Parliament, who's been conducting these negotiations, and also from Amos Hochstein, which also very positive.
That's where you're a legend.
There's less good news guess from the Israelis. They don't yet have a positive attitude towards this. They think it's going in the right direction, but they don't think it's quite there yet.
They don't have a
And of
positive
course,
attitude.
The Lebanese Hezbollah leader, Naim Qassem, is going to speak later today. So we'll hear exactly what he says then. So as with all these things, there is a mood music which sounds good, but at the same time, there's some notes which are really still quite sour. So we have to accept that what's taking place at the present time is quite intense far from Hezbollah into Israel, and very intense far from Israel into Lebanon, and not just into the southern suburbs of
Hey,
Beirut.
yeah, Clover Tech, as you're a member. Hey, appreciate you. Appreciate you for being here, kind sir. Welcome aboard this morning. Go check out the best gun tuber out there, Clover Tech. Go check them out.
The last 2 days, really in the central part of Beirut, where the banking system is, where the political class lives, and also mixed areas in terms of the confessional groups within Lebanon.
So we know, of course, that Israel has been striking those Hezbollah strongholds over in Beirut and the suburbs of Beirut, as we were talking about here. So have they been able to take out a significant amount of Hezbollah's weaponry?
Wow, they're blocking you guys from saying Hezbollah in the chat. Wow. Not even surprised, bro. Especially when we're talking about this on geopolitics as the actual... Anytime that we talk about geopolitics, that's what I found out. Every time we talk geopolitics, you guys get really fucked up in the chat, which is terrible. And you misspelled it, kind sir. You misspelled it. You got to correctly spell it. But maybe that's the get around.
Because we know that just yesterday, we saw about 100 rockets once again fired over at Israel from Lebanon. So it seems like
another
they have...
100 last night. There was another 100 fucking missiles lobbed over from Hezbollah over to Israel. Dude. And now they're asking for a ceasefire after they have essentially just thrown 100 into their backyard last night. What the fuck? They're like, hey, listen, we have to cease fire, so let's fuck them up one last time. Man.
Almost an endless supply of rockets.
This
Has
is
Israel been
crazy.
able to kind of, I guess, dwindle that down?
20
Well,
bucks
of course,
is
there
20
are
bucks.
less rockets than
by the
there
way.
were, less missile systems than there were. Though yesterday, don't forget, an Israeli citizen was killed by a surface-to-air missile,
ya.
which struck actually a bomb shelter. So we know that the capacity which Hezbollah have, despite the fact that the military leadership has been very disrupted by a process of a systematic assassination of the leadership, but nonetheless, they have retained the ability and the
I
flexibility.
know I get it sometimes. Sometimes it'll let me say some certain things, and then certain times, like on my own platform, on my own YouTube chat, it'll block me from saying shit. Like, it's unreal. And then sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why.
To attack Israel. And so
Maybe your guys' accounts get attacked a little bit. Like, they see what you're saying in chats and stuff like that, and they're like, hey, we're going to go ahead and make it a hard time for him to say anything.
I think one
That
has
might
to
be
say,
it.
yes, there are less weapons.
What's
than
up,
there
brother
were.
Lee? Good to
It
see
doesn't
you.
mean
Good
to say
morning.
they
Good morning.
can't be resupplied from the Iranians and through Syria and so on and so forth.
Appreciate you
But
asking
certainly
us.
there are less than there were. Obviously, what the Israelis have been doing is going through a laundry list, which they acquired through their very good intelligence in Lebanon over the last
Exactly. It's so weird.
17 years. And they're literally going after each of the targets that they have on their list. Now, that process looks like it's intensifying, and that often looks like a bad thing to outside observers. But those of us who follow ceasefires know full well that the most intense fighting is usually before the ceasefire agreement.
One thing that I ask you a lot is the significance of different events. And we do know that Hezbollah's top spokesperson, so to speak, was killed in a strike. So what is the significance of the killing of Hezbollah's top spokesperson?
Well, it disrupts, obviously, the leadership. And that has been the case since the assassination of Nasrallah, the former leader of the long-term leader of Hezbollah. It does disrupt it. But what you have to remember is that these organizations, these Islamist organizations, are extremely resilient. And they have, in fact, planned for these kind of events. And so there's a much...
Hold on. Let me add to that. And everything they stand for.
It's a really important lower level of leadership, which is capable of operating quite independently from the center. And that's obviously what's been taking place over the last couple of months, that Hezbollah has not been knocked out of action. It's merely gone back to a plan which it must have to deal with the fact that its central command has been taken off, that it's got a new way of operating, and it seems to have been actually quite effective.
We're hearing so much about the situation between Hezbollah and Israel, but the fighting actually does still continue against Hamas in Gaza, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely. The fact that it's probably more intense at the present time than it's been for...
Just because one war shuts down for Israel, that doesn't mean they don't have fucking 8 others going on. Yeah.
For some time. In northern Gaza in particular, there are massive attacks that Israel is undertaking against what it says are Hamas strongholds, militants, and so on and so forth. In the top section of northern Gaza, about 400,000 people have had to flee their homes or have been expelled.
Damn.
Only about a fifth of the civilian population remain, and the situation is really very, very dire. Now, the fact of the matter is, why is Israel fighting in northern Gaza, where in fact it had fought initially when it launched its land operation in October last year? Why? And it's been back earlier this year. Why is it back again? And the reason, of course, is that militarily, you cannot really get rid of Hamas, and that what the Israelis have refused to do so far is to allow a non-Hamas Palestinian civil administration to take over. And unless you have a civil administration, then Hamas will in fact fill the vacuum. And so that, I think, is what is taking place at the present time. But it's a very dire situation for those civilians left in
That's
northern
right,
Gaza.
GEG. Good morning, kind sir.
Another significance question here. I want to ask you about Hamas being kicked out, so to speak, of Qatar and moving over to Turkey. Why does that matter? Why? And why are people talking about it right now? What is the significance of that?
Well, the background, of course, is that Qatar has said it will step back from being a mediator between Israel and Hamas. This role has been taken over effectively by Egypt at the present time, and there are some low-level discussions about a possible limited hostage exchange that's being conducted by the Shin Bet, the internal security leadership. But the truth of the matter is, we do not know where the Hamas external leadership is. The Doha minister, the people in Doha say that they have not permanently closed the Hamas headquarters. The Turkish government says that they have not yet got
Holy
agreed
wars.
that the Hamas is operating from Turkey. So at the present time, we do not know. The Israeli press says they've definitely, the Hamas leadership have left. The Turkish government say absolutely not the case. It's complicated because lots of the Hamas leadership live in Turkey, not as officials, but as private citizens. So it's very difficult to work out what's taking place. The key question really is, how are we going to negotiate an end to the war in Gaza? And that is what's significant about this. Where is the address that the Israelis send any message they want to Hamas in order to get an end to this conflict? At the present time, that doesn't look like anytime soon. Don't forget, in Israel itself, this war is very unpopular. The latest opinion poll shows 69% of Israelis wanting an end to the war and the return of the hostages, and only 20%.
Those are the people. The citizens like that, they don't have a fucking say. Unfortunately, they don't. It's what the elites want to do. Unfortunately.
Really following the policy of Prime Minister Netanyahu, who wants to continue this war.
That was going to be my last question for you. When you talk about Prime Minister Netanyahu, does he still consider a ceasefire, hostage release deal to be a priority, or does he want the war to just keep on going?
Well, to many of his critics in Israel, it looks like as if he just wants the war to continue to play out because it seems to be keeping him in office. Don't forget, his trial for corruption resumes on December the 2nd, so that's in less than 2 weeks' time. He was hoping undoubtedly that this trial would be put off because of the war. So I think that hasn't happened. But I think that there is a real problem that he has literally tied his colors to the mast, which is he wants to prevent any effective Palestinian control of Gaza.
Be safe out there, SNS.
War. He seems to be saying that what the Israelis need is permanent occupation. This would, of course, be a disaster. The last occupation of Gaza, the Israeli occupation, direct occupation, which ended in 2005, was not a happy experience for the Israelis, either politically or militarily. And that was precisely why Ariel Sharon, a prime minister, not of the left, but of the right, actually decided to disengage from Gaza, remove the settlements, and remove the military installations. So I think that he's really playing a really dangerous game at the present time, because if we want to end this war, the only details on the table of any ceasefire agreement.
Be safe out there, Brother Shadow. Appreciate you always.
Gaza, and it seems that's what Prime Minister Netanyahu doesn't want to do. And of course, that is certainly endangering the hostages, the remaining Israeli hostages, which are now 410 days into their captivity.
Damn, 410
Dr.
days.
John Strawson, as always, thank you so much for
fucking real.
The time to be here with us. Anything else you want to add about any of this before I let you go?
Well, I think the where you began, this question of a ceasefire with Lebanon is quite significant, because don't forget, when Hezbollah began its attacks against Israel in solidarity with the Hamas attacks of October the 7th, it said that there was only a possibility of a ceasefire once there was a ceasefire in Gaza. What is very clear is the new leader of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem, has detached the ceasefire in the north in Lebanon to a ceasefire in Gaza. And that, I think, is a positive development. So we have to hope for the citizens, particularly the citizens, the civilians of both northern Israel and also of Beirut and the rest of Lebanon, that this ceasefire agreement that we talked about does actually come.
Well, that's exactly their fucking problem, Steve.
Come into play, and let's hope that is the case. The good sign on that is there is also a proposal that after the ceasefire agreement, Israel and Lebanon would then negotiate over issues of land conflicts, which they have along that northern border. That's a good sign, because that means that to some extent, both Israel and Lebanon are thinking of the day after the war. And so we have to hope that that is what will happen.
All right. John Strawson, as always, we appreciate you joining us here and breaking it all down. A lot to discuss, as always, and I'm sure we'll have you back very soon.
Yeah, that was actually a really
Thank
good
you very
report.
much. Good to
I
speak with you.
gotta say that he reported on that, the doctor over here. You reported on that completely unbiased until basically he started asking him, you know, personal questions. What do you think about this, about that? Then, of course, he went into what he thought personally. Hey, man, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that as long as it was invited. So with everybody, hey, listen, man, I much honor, respect to all of you guys. Thank you guys for being here and hanging out with me this morning. And I really am honored that you guys are, you know, choose me out of all people to hang with. You guys could be anywhere in the world, but you guys are here with me, man. So big W to you guys. Humongous respect. Listen, stay around because we're going to be raiding my buddy, Glenn Lawrence. Go over there, go hang out. Let them know that, hey, we're raiding him. You know, everyone in the chat, let them know, hey, we're raiding you. So much love, honor, respect to everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow, or actually tonight, for a panel on Biker News Canada's YouTube channel. And they're going to be discussing Canadian politics, and I'm going to be essentially offering them an alternative, which is the American ideology. So much love, honor, respect to everybody. Hopefully you guys all have a good one. Be safe out there and stick around for the raid. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges.